Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Digital Live. Super excited to have everyone back this week. My name is Destiny Frank, and I will be your host for the next couple of weeks. I'm here with my co-host, Eric. And Eric, who do we have today?
Sure thing. So today we have the pleasure of speaking with Sheena Monnin, who is a published author and VP of Marketing at PassiveBolt, one of the companies participating in the summer clinic. And Sheena, thanks so much for joining us today.
I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again, Sheena, for coming on. I guess to start off with our questions, can you give a brief introduction to yourself, kind of like your background, where you went to school, and what is it that you do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I'm one of those not so rare examples that it takes a little while to find out what really makes you feel passionate about getting up and going to work every day. My master's degree is in psychology. I was a licensed therapist at one point, really enjoyed it, migrated out of that into the world of corporate consulting. And that was an adventure. And I did that for a few years, wrote my own programs, did group consulting, private coaching, things like that, still kind of using my psychology degree, and then morphed more into being open to running really my own company. And it was in the process of doing that I ran into some of the founders of PassiveBolt and migrated into what I'm doing today, which started out in communications, and now I'm leading all of our marketing efforts, which, honestly, marketing, psychology, there are some crossovers there, but it did take me a little while to sort of find my way, which is completely normal, I would say, at least for millennials. I can't speak for Gen Zers, but I'm really having a good time where I am.
Well, that's great. Kind of based on what you said, and I was looking at your LinkedIn, and you're an author, you do pageants, you do psychology. How do you balance all of your personal projects and your work, and what is your motivation? Kind of like what you were talking about.
Yeah, so I made a commitment to myself earlier in my 30s. I'm 36 now, and I realized that if I don't get up every day and do something that makes me feel authentically excited, then really what am I doing with my life? Money is nice, titles are nice, success is amazing, but you really have to be emotionally invested and you have to be emotionally present where you are. And so when I look at how I sort of organize my time each day, I think about the things that absolutely have to get done, get those done first, and then sort of move down to the less urgent things. And I wrap up my day every evening running one of my own companies. And I do that on the weekends as well, because honestly, it doesn't feel like work because I really enjoy it. And so I feel like it fuels me and it makes me just feel very excited for life. I can't imagine living life and not working very regularly. So that's what makes me feel excited.
So you talk about like your passion, and speaking of PassiveBolt, could you give a little background on the company, like what products you're creating and how you want your customers, what kind of your target audience is?
Yeah, so PassiveBolt is the name of the company, and our brand, our B2C brand, is called Shepherd Lock. Now, most people these days are very aware of what an electronic lock is, but some electronic locks, they aren't actually smart locks. They basically are just a Bluetooth lock. So when we set out to design Shepherd Lock, we really wanted to make sure that our product was smart, that it was intuitive, that it was cutting edge, and that it would fit basically with any type of home, any style of home. So Shepherd Lock is a retrofit smart lock. All that means is you can keep your deadbolt that's already on your door, and you can go on the inside of your door, and that is where the Shepherd Lock module will be mounted. So from the outside, your home can keep the aesthetic, if you will, that you like, and you don't have to change anything. We offer some patented features with Shepherd Lock that you can't find anywhere else. You can touch to get inside the door. Once you're inside, you can touch again and the door will lock or unlock. So it locks or unlocks from the outside and the inside with just a touch, which is very unique to us. Also, we have security features that you can't find anywhere else. And we also offer some pretty standard activity monitoring and things like that. So it's a very special product, and our consumers so far have really loved it and given us some very valuable feedback.
That's great. Seems like an important product, kind of innovation and protection. And why don't we go to Eric? Eric, do we have any questions in the chat?
Sure. First question is from Bud, who knows a little bit about your past. He asks, what did you take away from pageant work that still applies today?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I competed in pageants for approximately 10 years. I had the privilege of going to a national competition. I would say just really finding that drive, because whether it's a competition, whether it's showing up to work every day or getting the degree, you have to find some energy within you that will keep you going. Because some days you're going to wake up and your brain is going to say, I don't feel good today, or I don't want to put on, in pageant terms, high heels, or I don't want to study. And you have to find that drive that will override whatever your thoughts are. I'm a strong believer in the law of attraction, and I know that whatever we're allowing our brains to think about has such a tremendous impact on our day-to-day living.
Maria Chudnicki asks, what is the main inspiration for Shepherd Lock?
Yeah, so basically, Shepherd Lock has the humble but broad vision of turning every single door into a Shepherd Lock run door. Basically allowing people to have the ease of entry that comes with touch lock and touch unlock, as well as the security features that we offer. So essentially, any residential door that has a single cylinder deadbolt lock on it would be compatible with Shepherd, and that's our vision. That's what we want to see happen.
We have a question here from Jamie Ward, who asks, what advice would you give to someone trying to choose a career path who has a variety of skills and interests?
Yes, I think that's where internships are very, very important, is you have to try things out. And I did that as well. And in all honesty, I think that it helped me understand some of the things I didn't really want to focus on. And I think that if you limit yourself in your internships, that you can really be setting yourself up for perhaps not having as broad of a perspective as you would otherwise have. It sounds obvious, but I have noticed that some people very early on, they kind of get in a groove and they don't really broaden their minds to what else could be out there for them.
All right, and last question here real quick. So Sufyan Q asks, when did you realize you will be a successful entrepreneur?
So entrepreneurship is kind of in my blood, if that's even a thing. My father was an entrepreneur and his father was an entrepreneur way back when robotics were around. So I kind of grew up knowing how it was going to be. And it took me a little while before I was willing to jump both feet in. But it was something that always on the side, I always had some small little company of my own, usually a consulting company or something like that, that I was running. And then when I joined with PassiveBolt, I really embraced the entrepreneurship spirit, the beliefs, and the lifestyle.
All right, thank you so much. And Destiny, I'll pass it back to you.
Thanks, Eric. Speaking of a Shepherd, how has that evolved over time? And what tactics have you used for marketing to kind of get your name out there to potential customers?
Yeah, so Shepherd Lock has a unique situation. We do have the hardware element to it, but we also do have our mobile app and we do have the software side of things. And when you're entering a space such as smart locks or electronic locks, really, it can feel a little crowded. So knowing how to market the product is really important. Our strongest tactic, if you will, or really our approach, is to try every reasonable, even slightly unreasonable marketing paths that are available and see which one sticks. Because you can go and read the textbooks and consult with experts, but at the end of the day, you really need to try the different channels for yourself and see which one resonates with your product. It's very tedious. It can be expensive. It is time consuming. But at the end of the day, getting your feet in the trenches can make a big difference as opposed to just approaching it from a textbook perspective. That perspective is highly valuable, but you also need to have the real life experiences as well.
So speaking of that real life experience, what would you say, at least right now in the landscape, has been the most successful strategy so far?
Yes, one of the things that we were very surprised and pleased to see generate sales in terms of measuring success that way, conversion sales, et cetera. We were featured on a couple different TV shows for innovative products, and we were able to sell out with the airings of those shows. And so that's helped us to realize that there is a secret sauce or magic sauce there in terms of having a hardware product that's very easy to demo and sell the features in a TV ad or on a TV spot without having to go through and list all the features and have people read them or list the product benefits, et cetera. So we found that to be very powerful for us. And we're working behind the scenes now with different influencers, celebrities, things like that, to really capitalize on that one part of our overall marketing strategy that is working for us.
That's great. So kind of like partnerships. Have partnerships proven to be a really important strategy going forward with Shepherd?
Yeah. I think that we're living in a day and age where if you can find the right influencers to partner with your brand, that does add a lot of value. Being very clear what you expect from them and what you will provide is, of course, really important. But I think if you can find those great partnerships, that has proven to provide traction. Yes.
Oh, that's great. Why don't we head back to Eric and see if we have any more questions in the chat? Eric?
Sure thing. Yeah, we got a couple more. So the first question I want to ask is from Alessandra C., who asks, how are you able to handle everything? Your full-time job, your own company, social life, etc. I'd love some time management tips.
Yes, one of the greatest books that we read actually company-wide in PassiveBolt, because we all do have lives outside of our entrepreneurship endeavors. It's called Getting Things Done. The name of the author escapes me. It's a male author, but the title of the book is Getting Things Done. And he goes over in great detail how to time block, basically how to organize your thoughts for the day. Because one of the big failures, I would say, with trying to do a lot of different things is you're doing one thing and in the back of your mind, you haven't planned for some of the other things you need to get done. So those little voices are rumbling in the back of your head, distracting you from what you're doing now because you haven't planned out and don't have that peace of mind that you're going to get everything done. So time blocking my calendar has proven to be very valuable for me. And it also allows me to unplug. When I'm out with friends or out with my family, I can be fully present with them because I've done the things I need to do. Or if I didn't get everything done, because I'm not a robot myself, I've time blocked it for the next day. And I think that that's just a path to freedom if you have a lot going on.
Getting things done. I'll remember that. And piggybacking off of that question, Alessandra asks, what book, podcast, or resource has brought you a lot of value?
Yes, absolutely. There's one by Rob Dial, and it's called something Mastermind. Forgive me, he's just changed the title of his podcast, which is causing me pain because I can't remember it. But his name is Rob Dial, and he offers about 10 or 15 minutes of motivation that I can listen to very easily. I use Spotify and listen to that podcast, and it's very well thought out. Every day is a different theme. So on one day he may be talking about the law of attraction. The next day he could be talking about something like getting things done, and the next day something else. And so he does a nice job of diversifying his topics. I found that very valuable.
Patrick Bedard asks, what is your favorite Shepherd Lock feature?
Oh, okay. Hello, Patrick. Thanks for asking that question. I would say the thing that I really enjoy with my Shepherd Lock is being able to touch my deadbolt and get in my door. You know, you don't realize this because I live in a condo subdivision, if you will, and we have a pool down the street. And I do not want to carry my house keys down to the pool. And so something as simple as going down there, coming back, and using my phone as my virtual key and touching the Shepherd Lock, it's a total game changer.
All right, and I got one last question here, again by Alessandra, who asks, what's the best piece of advice you got in your 20s?
Wow, you're making me think a long time back here. Okay, let's think. In my 20s, you know, my parents, my dad being an entrepreneur, my mom ran 3 jewelry stores in her 20s before she married and had children. They really gave me a lot of freedom. They didn't pin me down and say, you have to study this or do that or anything. And so I would say their advice, and really their lifestyle advice as well, is trust the process. You know, you don't have to figure out life by the age of 25. Just go with the flow of where you are now, do your best, and things will tend to work out as they are intended to.
All right, thank you so much. And back to you, Destiny.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, I know we're almost out of time, but I guess one final question, kind of with the advice. Do you have any takeaways or tips for interns or recent graduates that want to break into the world of digital marketing? What tips would you have for them in this new kind of digital age landscape?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say some of the qualities that I personally look for and get really, really excited about, just thinking in terms of the interns that I've had the pleasure of working with the Digital Summer Clinic the last couple of years, individuals who are diverse in their skill set. I'm not saying that you are certified in 15 different things, but you have been curious enough and have put the time in to know a little bit about a lot of different things. And I think that's truly valuable. And so if I'm approaching someone who is an intern, I can see just based on conversations with them that they have the capacity to learn and expand their mind, and they know a little bit about a lot of different things. That really makes them stand out to me. And it gives me the confidence that I can assign them tasks and trust them that they're going to figure it out. They're going to do a little bit of research and really get it done, because my leadership style is pretty casual. I trust people and I don't want to be micromanaged. So I would never do that to someone else. And so when I'm working with individuals and they have that kind of mentality, that, perpetual curiosity, if you will, I find that super valuable.
So that's great. Kind of like about following your passion, exploring your passion. I think that's a really good message. Thank you so much, Sheena, for coming in today and sharing your story. Oh, hearing from the studio. Oh, I'm hearing from the studio. We have another question. All right. All right, I'm hearing from the studio that we have a very important question. Eric, what's our last question for tonight?
It's an interesting one. So Mike asks, with ransomware and cyber attacks on the rise, how do you address related concerns with your potential customer?
Yeah, so we have had some individuals who have asked some very pointed questions in terms of how do you make sure the signal between your virtual key, your phone, and the Shepherd lock is secure and can't be hacked? How do you ensure that the information stored in the cloud is safe, and all of these things? And thankfully, I can hide behind the reality that I am a marketing person, so I cannot tell you the details that our software expert can, but I can tell you what he told me. And that is, it's much easier to break into a government-run facility with government protections, et cetera, than it is to try to hack into the signal that goes between our Shepherd lock and our phone, because that encrypted message changes with every touch. So you can maybe hack one, but by the time they come back home and they touch again, that encrypted message has changed. So it changes with every touch. And I do know for people who are very aware of the space that you're referring to that I'm not, that answer seems to help, because it seems to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's a different encrypted message every time. But if you do want more details, you can reach out to me and I can put you in touch with the correct person who can answer all of the technicalities.
All right, thank you for that into perspective for us.
All right, thank you again, Sheena, so much for coming on, and for sharing your story and giving us your time today. And thank you for everyone for tuning in. Again, we will be back here next Thursday at 6 o'clock. You don't want to miss it. If you do miss any of our digital lives, you can come back to our Facebook page and they will be posted the day after. So stay tuned for those. Thank you, Eric, for helping tonight. And I hope everyone has a great evening, and we will see you next week.